I'm going to hold any announcements that I might be inclined to give, and we're just going to invite Charlene to come up and share a few words about what St. John's means to her and what giving means to her. Be praying. Are you praying right now for Charlene? Good. You've got this, sister.
Good morning. So I have to tell you a funny story because we're talking about giving. I'm the third generation of this church, and my dad told me a story. He's a funny guy. He told me at church when he was a little boy, he lived behind Tri-City Pizza, and he walked all the way here. And his mother gave him 5 cents to give to the church. So he and his brother took off in the morning, walked all the way to church, and my father saw a little candy store, and he decided to stop at the candy store, and he bought some candy. He spent 1 cent on candy, and he gave the other 4 cents to the church. So when he got home, he had a piece of candy on him. And my grandmother said to him, "Where'd you get the candy?" And he said, "Oh, I took the money you gave me, and I bought the candy, and I gave the rest to the church." And I said, "Oh, Dad, did you get in trouble?" And he says, "Oh boy, did I." He said, "I never did that again." So I just wanted to start with that. He's a cute man. He's probably the reason why I'm here today. But I've been in and out of church my whole life, and left. I don't have a lot of memories of church because I was really young when I was coming. But I left and went to San Francisco. When I came back, I met Mother Rita at Montessori school where my child went, and I started to come back to church. In and out. This place was packed, and I used to come, and I don't know, I really wasn't getting anything out of it for some reason. And I stopped going. So it was this year when I started to come back, and my father had passed away in January, so I called Mother Rita and asked her if she would come to my father's service and speak at the service, and she said, "Oh, I'm not doing that anymore, I'm going to be on vacation. You can call this guy Father Nutter." So I gave him a call, and he graciously came to my father's service all the way from Rockland on a Monday, which I thought was very sweet now that I know that he lived so far away. And like all of you, he was surprising. I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect him. And I just felt something very special about him. And I remember saying to him, when I sat down with him, I'm like, "Wow, you're really special. My dad would have really liked you." It really hit me like that. And I wanted to come back to church. So I told him I was going to come back, and he said, "Sure, come. I'd love to see you there." So I walk through the doors. The first thing he does, I sit down, and Father Nutter comes over, and he greets me. And I thought that was so special, and he does that now to everybody new. He walks up, I see him do that, and it means something when you do that. I should tell you also, prior to me coming, when I told Father Nutter that I was going to come to church, I got a phone call from Gary Smith, my father's very good friend. And Gary called and left a message. I didn't answer. He left a message and said, "Charlene, you're not going to believe the changes at church. You got to come. The church needs somebody like you." Wow. I really thought that was special. So I came back, and of course, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm flipping through the pages, and I must have looked like I was really struggling, because later on, I had 3 people come up to me and say, "It's okay, I'm sorry, it's hard to be coming back for the first time, Maybe what you should do is go online and download the service. It's all right there, and you don't have to fumble through the books." And I'm like, "Oh, that's a good idea." So I left, even though I was, didn't really get much out of it. I left and came back the next week, and I noticed that the biggest thing that I noticed is that I saw people that I knew from church that I recognized, and they all said hello to me. And then Lorna came up to me and said, oh, you've got to have a name tag. And then these other people are just quietly saying hello when I'm downstairs and greeting me and making me feel comfortable. And I was like, wow, it feels good, you know? But the other thing I noticed is that Father Nutter was here. He wasn't up there. He was here. And he was touching people. And he was looking at people, and he was engaging in people. And he was laughing. And he was telling stories. And I kept, every time I came, I learned something. And I took it home with me for that week. And it was just incredible. It felt incredible. And I remember him saying, you know, you're supposed to love everybody. God says to love everybody. Well, you know, that's hard to do. And I'm like, thank God he said that, because I'm having a hard time with that too, you know? And he says, we're all sinners. I wouldn't have a job if you weren't sinners. And I'm like, wow, that's good. That made me feel better. I don't feel so bad, you know? And he would say, when you want to pray, you get down on your knees and you look up at God. And so I did. And he said, when you want something, you ask for it. And so I did. And he said, and you got to wait in silence. And I did, but I fell asleep. But when I woke up to a voice in my head that gave me the answer of what I needed. And I realized that was God's grace. That was the Holy Spirit. And I realized that I've been receiving that for a long time, but didn't really understand what it was. And I'm addicted. Like 90% of my time I spend at home reading the Bible, researching the Bible, watching shows on TV like the Archaeology of the Bible, which gives you so much information. My husband is kind of sick of me a little bit because the TV is always on about biblical shows. I'm now at the EFM with St. John's Church, learning about, it's a 4-year course. I love it. I'm reading, Robert, you know what I'm talking about. And I now go to the Wednesday class, and I've brought my brother, and and I'm learning more and more. I'm reading the Bible, I'm buying Bibles, I'm reading other resources. I'm addicted, and I've learned so much. And it's only been since January. And I'm trying to think back, like, I went to church all those years, and I came to St. John's all those years, and I'm trying to figure out, like, what's made it different? And, of course, it's Father Nutter. I feel just so special having him in my life. But it's also all of you. And I'm looking into your faces. It's you guys. You created a home for me. You've created a home for my brother. You've created a home for the girls up there. And you made me feel welcome. And quite honestly, I think everyone deserves that. Everyone deserves to walk through these doors and be a part of that. And I just encourage all of you to please, anyone that walks through that door that's new, that we don't know, to please walk up to them and say something, look them in the eye, just give them a little, I don't know, just welcome them and make them come back. Because it takes a little while before you start getting used to this. And it is hard, but it's so worth it when you start receiving it. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart.